A Palestinian militant group has announced its truce with Israel is over. It comes after 14 Palestinians were killed in a series of Israeli airstrikes with retaliatory rockets launched in response from Gaza. Tel Aviv claims those targeted were terrorists, but a total of 30 civilians have reportedly been hurt on both sides. RT's Paula Sleer is in Jerusalem and now joins us live here on the programme. Hi, Paula. So what has provoked this sudden exchange?
Well, as you say, more than a dozen Palestinians have been killed and dozens more have been injured, many of them children, in this latest Israeli airstrikes over the Gaza Strip. Now, the most high-profiled Palestinian to be killed by the Israelis is the leader of the Popular Resistance Committee, Zuha al-Qaisi, who publicly went on record and acknowledged his ties to the kidnapping of the Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit, who was held for more than 5 years in captivity in Gaza and released late last year. The Israelis say that in addition to this, they have evidence that he was involved in the planning, the funding and the directing of a deadly cross-border raid from the Sinai Peninsula into Israel last August. Now, the Israelis have also been targeting a number of empty training camps across the Gaza Strip. And this afternoon, Saturday, Israeli officials are holding an emergency meeting to deal with the situation. Cairo has criticized Tel Aviv for breaking a tacit ceasefire that has been in place between Israel and Gaza. And the Palestinian Authority says that it is Israel to blame for creating a negative environment that will only see an escalation of violence. In the last 24 hours, there have also been some 80 rockets and mortars that have been fired by Palestinian militants from Gaza into southern Israel, and a number of Israelis have been injured. One of them is in a serious condition. Now, in addition to this physical manifestation of violence on the ground, we have been investigating a different type of warfare, a much more subtle type of warfare taking place here in Israel, and that is over the question of the right to education of Israeli children. But as we've been finding out, that right is somewhat watered down when it comes to Arab children. Take a look. The lessons of life come early to the Abu Labdeh children. Hours before the rest of the country wakes up, these young Arabs are preparing for their long trek to school. It's a 12-kilometer walk there and back. Tiring, difficult, and more than a little hair-raising. It takes the children about 2 hours to get to school, the older ones helping the younger ones with their bags. But the road is dangerous, and just a few days ago, one of the children narrowly missed being knocked over by a car. The children have to walk along dirt paths and cross many busy streets. Part of the journey is on a bus, but after they get off, there's still an hour more of walking. They're late every day and exhausted even before the first lesson starts. The youngest is just 3 years old.
It's because we're Arab, because our religion is Muhammad, not Moses. That's why everything is like this.
Israeli law says transport must be provided for children living far from school. But because the local authorities say the families are squatting illegally on privately owned land, they refuse to help.
Education is a basic right, both internationally and also in Israel. Children should have access to education at a reasonable distance from their home, appropriate type of education within the Israeli education system.
A day after we visit, the bulldozers arrive. Because far from wanting to help the children, the authorities want the families gone. Whereas the day before, this house stood here. We come back and find this.
Our children hate the police, they hate the Jews, and you ask, from where is this hate? Israel calls itself a democracy, but what kind of democracy does this to its children?
Since the founding of the state, not a single new Arab village was built, and for most of those already in existence, there is no overall plan, which means that every construction is rendered illegal.
And so, with their homes up for demolition and their dream to be educated a daily trudge, these children are learning the hard way that some of life's most important lessons happen outside the classroom. Paula Sleer, RT, Srifan Junction, Israel.